Hi team, so we're back with another episode. We did miss last week, but I hope you enjoyed today because today is just a summary, not just a summary. It's an update of some ramblings and thoughts that I had yesterday, as well as just going over our 5-day challenge and why do we do the 5-day challenge? What are we trying to achieve? And how is it going to make a difference to you? And is it necessary? And I think sometimes we can overlook that because you think it's just another marketing thing and like it's free. So if you're in a position where you want to make a change, or you're in the middle of making change, or you are already changed, but you recognize the need to keep that momentum going, and you're in charge of other people, like let's say you're leading teams, or you're part of a team, and you just want something more. You've just got something inside of you that says, like, I've listened to all these podcasts and all these books, and I'm not making progress. I'm aware, but it almost is at my detriment. Then maybe today's episode is going to help you. So have a listen. Let me know what you think. And if you enjoy it, leave a comment, rate it, share it. Really appreciate it. And just be amazing. Welcome back to the Identity Human podcast with your host, Don. It is, I don't know why I laughed there, sorry. It is just me today. So if I'm honest, I'm in the stage where I don't want to just do episodes for the sake of talking, right? For the sake of putting it out, because I always think you've got to be adding as much value as possible. And we didn't do one last week because it was at that point where it was like, I have to record one. I was like, you know what? Sometimes silence is better than saying something. So I just said, we're not going to do one. And that's okay. And it was almost at the same point this week, but then it was like, okay, sometimes you got to realize that you find excuses not to do things, and maybe that's where I'm going. So we're going to record today, obviously, because you're listening to this, and thank you. And first and foremost, I want to just put a note of gratitude and appreciation for all of you guys that have made the effort to rate the podcast, share it with people you think it's useful for, and then, but most importantly, just listening to it for yourself. So, I was having conversations yesterday. We did a whole workshop and just around behaviors, and it's meant to be leadership and culture, but actually at the end of the day, I go in there and there's always something to learn. And because I'm facilitating, I'm helping facilitate it. And there's so many times I see we try and talk about what we should achieve, but we don't realize what it takes to get there. And I think that's why we keep failing. So the same things, I always say this, if you can see the similarities between a business and an individual and a team and in life, you start to recognize patterns. And I know we've had conversations towards individuals. So like, let's say you're listening to this for yourself and you go, I tried that, it didn't work. I tried it again, it didn't work, so therefore it doesn't work. And we do those in all areas of life. But if you go into business, and this is specifically around change or improvement, it's always it's the same story. So we tried that, it didn't work. We tried it again, it doesn't work, so that doesn't work. And I think we're constantly setting ourselves up to fail. And I think and I introduced this concept of scale, and that's obviously originated from Big Red, from Pete's in this conversations, but it's just a really good way of helping people identify what they should be looking at. And scale is so important. Is we speak about every time you try and make a change, you go to gym 4 times a week, or you go and run 3 times a week, and that's great, and you keep it up, but eventually that just becomes too much. So therefore, you're not really changing, are you? You're putting effort and discipline and willpower into something that is eventually going to fall off because it's not proper change. It's just a momentary deviation from where you're currently at, but then your identity or whatever it is going to bring you back to what you're most comfortable with identifying as. That's what that makes it so hard, is I put in all this effort and I'm still back to where I am. And I've got principles and things to think about for another day, because I really want to stay focused on that change thing. And going into like a big organization and talking about change, and you realize that you follow the same. Well, what's happened is we follow these same templates of those that have come before us, because those templates don't change, and those templates are the structure of change. But I think what is missing is it's those key bits of information at the right time said for when it's about to happen, so that people can predict the reason a change isn't going to happen. So when it does come, they go, oh, this is what they're talking about. And then it allows them to move through that phase. And I think we really have to start to understand that principle to help make change everywhere. But I was sat there yesterday, and this brings back to my point, is like, I cannot get away. I cannot get away from this. And it's like reaffirming is, if you want to have success anywhere, you have to learn that within yourself. And it's not necessarily just touting self-awareness and all that kind of stuff, because I think there's some downsides to it. I saw it yesterday, is like, when you become self-aware, it's actually a daunting thing, because you then walk around and you're no longer playing the unconscious game of life, the unaware game of life, where people can just happily walk into a room and just ignorance is bliss happen. You just can't not see it. And I was like, it's such a good post, because self-awareness does not equal bliss and constant happiness and euphoria. But it equals, maybe one thing you get is you get this freedom of understanding that there's good and then there's bad. And you get the freedom of being aware that this is bad right now, this is good right now. And actually then you start to realize that there's no good or bad, there just is, etc., etc. But I think you have to start with yourself, because if you can do it for yourself and understand how to lead those changes within yourself, those principles do not change. They just scale up. But if you understand the principles, you just apply it to bigger levels. And like, it was so obvious yesterday. And you've got 25 people in the room, potentially you want to get to 60 and all that kind of stuff. And the whole time I'm just thinking, if we do it the right way, this can be such a big thing. But if we don't say the right things, we don't empower the individuals in it, and they think that someone else is going to do it, it's going to be so hard for that change to actually take place. And then you go into that same pattern of, we've tried that and we didn't make the change. And one of the dots, like one of the things that I'd love to, if I had a graphics illustrator in my head that could just take these things and put them on, was, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it is, if every human being was born in a vacuum, as in the exact same state, and they had the exact same upbringing at the exact same time, you would be able to pick up, let's just say, 7 to 9 core basic personalities, and they would all behave in exactly the same way, because they haven't been influenced by anything outside. So in its vacuum upbringing, people would be exactly the same. There's like, first and foremost, it's such an interesting way to think of it, I think, is we are so similar to other people. There are so many, if you know where to look, you will see it and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I was that person, or I am that person, or even better, I'm going to be that person. I just haven't gone through that yet, okay? So in a vacuum, there are very core personality types. Take away trauma, take away and we just maybe go into genes, like in like genetics. But what happens, and this is where my mind started to draw this thing, is like, you have 7 dots, but then these dots go on a timeline. And obviously what happens with nurture as in your environment is lots of different things happen at lots of different times. And therefore it starts to muddy the waters as to how clear that initial personality trait or gene was in its infancy or vacuum. And then what we try and do as human beings is we try and say, oh, I can read you. I can understand your personality type. And the basics are there. They're true. But it's so hard to apply that to the millions of people, because you're trying to show someone a personality type, but you have no idea where they're on in their journey of influence and timing and experience and all the other things that then complicate the human mind in a beautiful way. So then you've got like these massively scattered dots everywhere. And even though there's a pattern, you can't see it because we don't have that timeline in a vacuum. We have, I was born yesterday, you were born 3 days later. We're already different. Even though we're the same person, different things are going to happen. Like seasons are going to be different. There's technology, like there's so many things that are changing that they add on to this complex, like beautifully complex individual. And then if that's just one person that's grown up in that time, you've got another person grown up in a different timeline, different things are happening. The more they grow up, the more complicated they get. But they're the same at their core. The human beings are the same. But now if we try and judge millions by that, at And you walk into, now I'm tying it back in. I'm glad I've still managed to lasso this one in, I hope. If I walk into a room of 60 people and I'm trying to help initiate change, essentially the only way that that's got 100% guaranteed success is if I can understand the 60 individuals and where they're at that time to support them to be able to maintain the change that they want to make. Like, I was thinking it yesterday, it's like once you, and I say I think because it's okay to be unsure, is once you understand how complex change is, it's a massive responsibility to walk into anywhere or even to yourself and say, yeah, I can guarantee you making that change. And that's one thing I really struggle with, say with our culture, our challenges and all that kind of stuff is, and even digital marketing on the whole. And like, I can guarantee you get this. And it's like, it's human beings are so incredibly complex in an amazing way that it takes a skill to be able to change a big group enough to a point where they can on an individual level maintain the change that you did on the group level. I know I probably am waffling a little bit, but the whole point is change is complex. So if you're trying to change for yourself, then and you're not doing it, understand it's not that you can't change, it's just you haven't understood enough yet. So keep trying and keep learning and keep doing it. And I wanted to bring that into because I was like, what's the main theme of today's talk? And it's actually just talking around our 5-day challenge, like because I want to run them, but I need to get to a point where I know that there is a high degree of intentionality behind the change that I'm helping you make. Because in an ideal world, it's here's a tool, but you're an adult and you need to do the research, you need to drive yourself and do all that. But I think people are so busy, and if you're looking for change, then that's the hard bit to do, is just take that autonomy, ultimate responsibility to go, I'm going to read that, I'm going to apply that, I'm going to read it. So you actually need people, like you need someone that's intentional enough to go, this is just step 1, this is step 5, this is step 7, step 10. If you want to make a change, this is when step 2 is going to happen. This is when you're going to do step 5. And actually leading people through that, that's when I think the best type of change is going to happen. And the 5-day challenge, for example, is like, to me, it's like the first step. Like, and I almost predict where, like the phases of resistance that people are going to have and all that kind of thing. But I really wanted to make this video just so that if you were even considering any form of change, it's like, it's where do you start? And I'm going to say, like, you start with yourself. Like, we run a 5-day challenge and it's all based around cold showers, but it's not. I know that you can't, maybe you can, some people can, a small percentage of people. I know that you won't just be able to get into a cold shower and do your own cold shower program and change will happen. No, it can happen, but I think what we always miss is the layers that come with an outcome. So let's say the shower is the outcome. It's the same example as making your bed. Is some people make their bed and they don't do it for very long because it doesn't satisfy them and they don't understand what the point of making the bed is. But if you layer in like 5 layers of understanding of making a bed, it becomes a core thing that makes the massive difference in that same person's life. And that's what, like, the cold shower challenge is 5 days, and we intertwine a different principle on each day. And we add on a different habit each day, not because we expect people to go and do those same habits for the rest of the year, but it's understanding the principles of how you could take that cold shower 5-day challenge. And if you saw the structure of it and you understood what we were teaching in like layer 2, 3, 4, and 5, you would be able to go into work and apply the same principles, and they would help you maintain long-term change. You would be able to go into a relationship and apply the same principles, and they would be help you to maintain long-term change. I think that's where it is. Like, if you were considering putting yourself on the wait list for our 5-day challenge, or if you're even interested in just changing something in your life, then just start with that 5 days. Like, go to the wait list now, or go to the identityhuman.com and add your name to the wait list and sign up, because it's a free challenge. Why you're going to do it is because it's for me, it's like the cornerstone of things that really propelled me on my own journey from where I was to where I am going. And I've seen, we're like 3 years into being able to just experiment with people. And like the people that just, they do it, they commit to it, and they do it every day, 3 years later are changing their life. Like, they're changing their energy. They've just got a different outlook. It doesn't mean that they're where they want to be. I think the whole point is loving the process. but they just are able to enjoy that process, and they are empowered to be able to work through those big resistances that end up coming when you get yourself too far out of your comfort zone. Because we introduce things like the chimp and some empowering principles and like how that relationship works. And, if you can't do this, how would you replace it, so that you understand how to manufacture your own like ideal environment to help you succeed. But it's more so that like it's engineered so that in 3 years' time, if you still stick to that principle, like if you want to make £1,000,000, that principle will help. If you just want to get healthy, that principle helps. If it just is for you, the principle helps. It doesn't really matter. And I think I've got it written down here, like why do it. And like, for me, it's so important now. We've got different generations. You've got kids growing up, you've got teenagers, you've got young adults, you've got the mid-adulters. I don't even know what generations you want to put them. It's like, but there seems to be a horrible narrative that's because of social media about like mental health and how many suicides are. And we're talking about it, which is good, but we're not talking about it in an empowering way. I feel like we're talking about it in a disempowering way. And by talking about it in a disempowering way, we're setting ourselves up to fail even more, because that thing like where the focus goes, where the energy goes, where the focus flows. And why am I misquoting that? We've all heard it, but basically whatever you focus on is going to be your focus. So if we start to talk about mental health, but we don't talk about it in an empowering way, I almost feel like sometimes we can talk ourselves into a trap and not know how to get out of it. And I think that's why, like, if I was to do the 5-day challenge, it's almost, to me, it's like it's the simplest, quickest, easiest way to get yourself out of whatever trap you're in. And it's not just it's not just on the mental health front, it's on a performance front. And quite frankly, my objective is to get everyone into their own environment where they're able to perform and maintain that performance without losing anything. But it's, if we've got 60,000 people doing the challenge, there's a percentage of them that just need something to help their mental health, and that's it, and it suits it. But there's also going to be a percentage of people that are like running businesses, they've got lots of teams, and it's got to be geared up to help all of those. Because obviously on the other side of that, we're selling a course, and there's obviously options to take it to the next level, and then that's where it starts to get more niched and refined. But the whole point is, it's just like this, like, yeah, guys, take this. Like, how's it going to work? That's why it's like seeing people succeed is like what gives me a buzz. I love seeing people achieving things through their own efforts. I love the fact that I play a part in asking the right question or guiding or giving something, but it's not my effort at all. It's that person's effort. And that, for me, is like when someone can take themselves from where they don't want to be, or they're not, or just become aware of it, and then they do things that gets themselves out of that, and suddenly they start to talk about the energy that they're feeling and how they're affecting us, the relationships that are starting, and there's this like butterfly effect. Like that for me is 100% guaranteed satisfaction and the effect that I want to have. And I've just been thinking about that lately. And so, yeah, I mean, right back to simplifying the 5-day challenge. If you are interested, it's done over 5 days, and it's about like 20 to 40 minutes each night, where we will come together as a group, talk about it, introduce the principle, tell you what to do the next day, give you some homework. And we do that on day 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we really try and build as much energy and connectivity as possible to take whoever loves that into the next phase, which is the same. It's like, let's say it's Unshakable, the course. Take you through that course where it's just an extended, it's like group coaching, there's individual check-ins, there's community, and there's like that after support of like, you don't have to leave the community. There's like, we'll go on lives, and if anyone needs any help, and it's like getting people into that, so that, because I know that it's the only way that we can kind of keep our standard up so that we can achieve what we want to achieve long term. Because change is fine over 3 months, but it's when we stop becoming aware of the change we're trying to make, and we can sometimes divert back into old habits. And we just need someone that like pokes it, or a group of people, to keep up the momentum and essentially recognize us, isn't it? Like recognize the effort that we're making, because sometimes that's what we need. We need someone to recognize the good that we're trying to build. Because if someone else has recognized it, it gives us permission to recognize it ourselves. I think that like, I'm slowly refining exactly how to put into words what it is we're trying to achieve with Identity Human, with the podcasts, with the course, if you want to sign up to it, with just the free challenges, or just with the brand on a whole, like what does it represent? We're slowly working towards that, what that actually means, because I think it's just disseminating the best language to use and the best like outer image that we want to give off. But for now, it's genuinely, it's like, how do we just get like ecstatic on seeing other people succeed, and then surround ourselves with those people that just want you to succeed? No agenda. Like, just, when they talk about the ideal friend, and there's like the person you go and share good news with, and they're so happy for you without it taking away from the fact that they may not be succeeding, or there's not an ounce of jealousy, or they're happy for you because they're like, yes, because now you're going to take me on that journey. Like that, create that energy and spread that as far and wide as possible, because like we are here to live. We're here to have an experience, and if we're not careful, we're going to ruin that experience just because of the things that we're focusing on. So it's like how do we focus on that energy and creating that, and just fully endorsing that, and giving ourselves permission to rise up and make sure that we're rising up with people around us, and taking us on that journey. Okay. Objective achieved. I hope that this has been useful for you. What are you doing now that is going to set you up for the future? That's the question I want to ask you. Like, if you listen all the way here, you want something and you need to take action. What is it? What is it? Signing up to the wait list? Is it messaging someone? Is it just making one change that's different to the thing that you've been doing this whole time? That's all I want to ask. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Remember, Ubuntu, we are who we are through others. So I'll work on me for you if you work on you for me, because if you're great, I'll be great. And if I'm great, you'll be great. Get it? Okay. Have a great day.